concerns. We have a few matters of national concern, but I think we shall bring them a little bit later in the day, after the main answers have been, after item 6 has been concluded. So let's go to item 3. And I would amend the order paper. The Leader of Opposition wants to make a statement during the course of the day. We shall be able to do that. And Honorable Majesi last week indicated a desire to present a petition on tobacco farmers. We shall also allow him to present his petition today. So item 3.
Item 3 on the order paper, statements by ministers. 3A, on the financing modalities for the Kampala-Jinja Express Highway and other key team to London, United Kingdom, to resolve the boundary dispute between Tororo County and West Budama County.
Minister is not here. 3C. Yes, Honorable Teacher.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. I just wanted to ask if later on maybe whether it will be procedurally correct for us when the minister walks in later on to go back to 3B and we see if the issue can be asked. I'm just seeking for your indulgence, Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, if the minister does surface, we shall be able to handle this. So let's wait, or maybe the minister acting for the Prime Minister should send her a message that we're expecting her to handle some urgent issues in the House. 3D.
3C, government's comprehensive plan to address youth unemployment in the country.
Minister for Youth. Still not here. 3E.
3E, the Ferrier Gazette, the 29th day of October, as a public holiday in commemoration of the murder of Bishop James Hannington.
Minister of Public Service.
Right, Honourable Speaker and members of the House. This issue was considered by the Minister of Public Service, and I can say, right, Honourable Speaker, that discussions regarding this issue are in high gear and consultations are still going on. I beg the indulgence of the House that as soon as the consultations are ready, we can come here as public service and make a comprehensive statement in about 2 weeks' time. Right, Honourable Speaker.
Noted, so it will be responded to in 2 weeks' time. Item 4.
Item 4, laying of papers in accordance with Rule 31 of the Rules of Procedure. 4A, the annual budget performance report for financial year 2018-2019.
Minister of Tourism.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the annual budget performance report for the financial year 2018-2019.
Members to send to the relevant Committee of Finance for perusal and report back. 4B.
4B, the annual macroeconomic and fiscal performance report for financial year 2018-2019.
Minister of Finance.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the annual macroeconomic and fiscal performance report for the financial 2018-19.
Members sent to the Committee on Finance for perusal and report back. Item 5.
Item 5, designation of members to the standing and sector committees of Parliament in accordance with Rules 1510C and 1572 and 1842 of the Rules of Procedure.
Government Chief Whip.
Madam Speaker, in accordance with Rule 1510C and Rule 157 of the Rules of Procedure of Parliament, I beg to designate on behalf of the Government Chief Whip the following. Honorable Sinje Mugenyi Harriet to the Committee of HIV/AIDS. Honorable Tubo Christine to the Committee of Rules and Privileges.
Okay, honour members, you've had the members who have been nominated to go to the Committee on HIV/AIDS, Committee on Rules and Privileges, Committee on Climate Change. I put the question that those members be allocated those committees. Those in favour say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it. The names? You didn't hear the names?
Do I repeat?
Yeah?
No. Speaker, climate change is the next one.
Okay.
Maybe I can read all of them at a go. Madam Speaker, in accordance with our rules, I beg to redesignate the following members to the following committees. Honorable Kajungu Mutambi Rosette, Mbarara District, from Rules and Privileges to Climate Change. Honorable Rainiero Mori, from HIV/AIDS to Climate Change. Honorable Oda Jack Rutanywa, from Government Assurances to Climate Change. And I also beg to designate the following to the following committees. Honorable Mugisa Margaret Muhanga to the Committee of Physical Infrastructure. Honorable Agundra Moses, Telego County, Tourism and Trade. Honorable Sinja Mugenyi, Tourism and Trade. Honorable Tabu Christine, Education and Sports. I beg to designate Madam Speaker.
No, I want you to address the Committee on Physical Infrastructure. It's oversubscribed. Can you move Honorable Muhanga to the Committee on Tourism? Infrastructure is oversubscribed. You move her to Committee on Tourism. There's still space there.
Madam Speaker, I beg to designate Honorable Mugisa Margaret Muhanga to the Committee of Tourism and Trade.
Okay. The members, you have had the nominations. I put the question that those members be allotted those committees. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it. There was nothing from your side for today. Now, can we, I don't know which ministers are here, clerk? Check with them. Honourable members, I think I will now invite the the members to raise the matters of national concern before we go to the other responses. Honorable Riamhweza, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, this is a matter of national importance concerning the sugar bill and the regulation of sugar industry in our country. Suffice it to mention, Madam Speaker, that I'm addressing you and the August House as the incumbent Shadow Minister for Trade and Industry. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, Parliament processed and passed the Sugar Bill 2016 on 22nd of November 2018. However, the President did not assent to the Sugar Bill 2016 and thus returned it to Parliament for reconsideration in his letter of 1st March 2019 to the Right Honorable Speaker, urging Parliament to include the zoning clause in the Act, emphasizing that failure to implement the zoning policy was destroying the sugar industry. Right Honorable Speaker, despite the debate on the bill was due to start during the plenary sitting on Tuesday, 30th April 2019, following presentation of the reports from the Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry. Right Honorable Speaker, following guidance from the presiding speaker then, who chaired the House, the government chief whip requested the House for more time to consult further on the bill, and the government was granted 1 month for the consultations. However, Right Honorable Speaker, the bill is long overdue, putting into consideration the importance of this law to our economy. The government's silence on this law is a thorn in the flesh of the common man in the sugar growing areas. The potential investors are being held at bay due to the uncertainty created by the government resulting out of this silence. Right Honorable Speaker, sugar farmers were recently stuck with excess cane and had to seek the intervention of the President to allow them to export raw cane to Kenya due to the limited crushing capacities of the existing millers. This simply means that there is a need for more mills and/or expansion of existing ones to increase crushing capacity. Right Honorable Speaker, it is written everywhere that the President's proposal has not seen the farmers' favor, and as a result...
Honorable, I thought you wanted to know when the bill will come. Now you are submitting your objection to the bill.
Okay, let me present my prayer. I'm the Shadow Minister, Right Honorable.
Okay.
Right Honorable Speaker, I have only one prayer, that the Sugar Bill 2016, as passed by Parliament, be returned to the President in its current form and content for assent in accordance with Rule 142(7) of the Rules of Procedure of this House. I beg to submit and so pray. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
I don't know if it's the whip or the Minister of Trade. Where is the sugar bill?
Madam Speaker, given the importance, as everybody knows, the importance of this bill, we found it necessary to do further consultation on this matter and wanted to request, Madam Speaker, that you give us a month so that we come back and finalize, because we have got to go to the field. So we are requesting for more time, Madam Speaker. And a month would be, a maximum of 1 month would be sufficient for us. We beg to request.
Honourable Minister, I think many members here present sugar cane farmers. The situation is really, really grave. The uncertainty, the inability to export, the inability to sell, before the children out of school. It's a very, very serious situation. We cannot give you 1 month, Honourable Minister. No, fortnight. You have had we sent them out when? It was July? Honourable Minister, please understand the plight of the farmers.
So, Madam Speaker, we shall oblige for the 2 weeks you have given us. Thank you very much.
Okay, Honorable Hope Mukisa, 2 minutes. Members, join me in welcoming the Speaker, the Clerk to Council of Nakapiri District. Where are they seated? Here they are. Welcome. Mata.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise on the issue of national concern. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to inform this House that the pupils of Habala Primary School in Namayuge Parish, Buswale Sub-County, are standing under trees following a heavy storm that blew off the roof of all classrooms last week. The situation is alarming, and I would like to call upon the ministry concerned to intervene immediately to save the situation. As I speak, Right Honorable Speaker, the pupils are not attending classes due to the fact that they do not have anywhere to sit. It's therefore my humble request that the responsible ministry acts quickly to save the situation. Right Honorable Speaker, I interacted with the ministry, and the minister told me to inform the District Disaster Committee to act. They submitted each and everything that is needed, but the ministry have not yet responded. And in that same sub-county, Right Honorable Speaker, 2 months back, the whole parish was affected by floods. We requested the ministry still, but the same people, the same population were not helped. So I request, and I just request Honorable Minister responsible that please come in and save the situation. As we speak right now, the P7 candidates are doing their exams, but they are doing them under trees. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
The Minister for Disaster, there have been 2 disasters, first with the food, and now with the inability of the children to have where to sit. Minister for Disaster.
Madam Speaker, it is true there are very many hydrological emergencies in the country as a consequence of what has been described by meteorology as the above normal rains that have come not only with a lot of water that has submerged some places, but strong windstorms and hailstorms causing a lot of degradation almost in all the corners that are afflicting the communities in the districts that have been affected. What is also true is that we have attempted as much as we can to intervene. The honorable member is correct to say that her district may not have been reached, but I know for sure that the way we have been responding was mainly depending on the magnitude of the problem. But this one particularly, which occurs and affects the pupils, we have been liaising with our partners who have been kind to give us temporary tents that can be used as classrooms. UNICEF has been kind to support us in that direction, which we have distributed to some areas. I will after here go and check, at least to ensure that the children in that school can be helped to do exams. But to say that maybe we'll be able to, we just ignored Namaingo, may not be very accurate. I'll submit.
Okay, can we also ask the Minister of Education to ensure that, I don't know, exams are ending today? Theory are ending today? Can he ascertain whether actually the children did exams today? And if they haven't, to assist them to sit somewhere and do the Minister of Education?
Madam Speaker, we have also shared this with the line ministries, and we have agreed with the line ministries. For example, I can see from the order paper there are some responses that I'm supposed to make. Many of the interventions we will be handling the humanitarian phase of the intervention, but the actual critical interventions, like if it is agriculture, and we have agreed with the ministries, they must be up on the task to do what is supposed to be done by their sectors. I'll consult the Minister of Education, and Honorable Mingo is here, and I want him to take on from there.
Yes, Honorable Mingo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the latest I have is that Uganda National Examination Board has been able to conduct exams in all examination centers, all successfully, without any serious difficulty. But I've just picked I'll look for more, I want more details from my colleague after here, so that I follow up that particular case, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Thank you very much. Honorable Muyanja. 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues. I stand here on a matter of national importance concerning Entebbe Express Highway. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, this government spent millions and billions of money on that road. But Right Honourable Speaker, if you travel with KLM, which arrives at Entebbe around midnight, and you try to drive on that road, Entebbe Express Highway, it is complete darkness. Not even a single street light. Even the cameras are not sufficient. And yet, we have a road toll, which is supposed to collect money, maybe to solve other needed problems. Since that road was inaugurated, the road tolls are not functional. My appeal goes to the ministry that why don't they make the road toll functional and they generate money in order to at least put on street lights, cameras within a distance, because there are other cameras which are available. I tried, Right Honourable Speaker. You drive 4 to 5 kilometers to find the cameras. If the cameras are very expensive, let's generate money through the road tolls, unless they have a hidden agenda. There is not even a single patrol. So, to cause more insecurity, because we know we have been having insecurity on that road, and you can solve that, Right Honourable Speaker. That's my prayer to the concerned ministry. I thank you.
Yeah, honourable members, when the road was being commissioned, I think it was July, we were told that they were waiting for the law before they established the road tolls. We made the law long ago. This has finished the law. Still there are no road tolls. I don't know, Minister of Works, who's in charge of the lighting on the highway? Honourable Bahati?
Madam Speaker, we request that the Minister of Works answers that question on Thursday as we answer the rest of the questions.
Concerning the road toll?
Yes.
But now what about the lighting? Who's in charge of the lighting from Entebbe to Kampala?
It still works.
The Minister will answer both. Okay, next Thursday the Minister of Work should answer on the reasons for failure to establish the road toll, and then to explain the lighting on the Entebbe Kampala Express Highway. Honourable Komakech, 2 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I rise on a very urgent matter concerning Gulu municipality and the surrounding areas. The issue pertaining to power outages. I rose here on this floor some time ago, and the Minister of Energy assured us that while Karumba is being worked on, and as Aswa Dam is also being completed, in the meantime, the power supply from Owen Falls Dam would still be meeting the demands that we need in Gulu. And that is only 7 megawatts. But to date, if you go to Gulu, you find out that it is only supplied once a week. Gulu is very bright during the day, it is very dark during the night, and these are not good. These are not good. We are expected to become a city. How can we be demonstrating that Gulu is going to become a city when we cannot supply power for 24 hours? Gulu City, I'm talking of Gulu City. Please, I would like the Minister of Energy to stand up and assure us, as the upcoming new city in Africa, Gulu must lead in demonstrating that because it has 3 supply lines of Owen Falls, Karuma, and Aswa, in the meantime, Owen Falls Dam should supply power 24 hours in a week. Please. Information.
No. It's just for the West Nile.
Yeah.
Okay, West Nile also has a problem. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and honorable colleague, for giving way. Madam Speaker, the issue of power for the Greater North region should interest this House, because we have passed loans here, and the Ministry of Energy together with the Ministry of Finance seem to have a different agenda than what this Parliament has for the people of Greater North. We passed a loan of $100 million for extending power from Kole through Gulu and Oluyo, Pakwach up to Arua. That was 3 years ago. Madam Speaker, I want to report here that as West Nile Parliamentary Caucus, we engaged Minister of Energy to give us an update on where they have reached with this money that Parliament had passed. And they promised that by May this year, the contractor will be on ground. As we talk, Madam Speaker, even when we call the person the ministry had designated for us to be in touch with for updates, he doesn't pick our phone calls. So there's something fishy that's happening in the ministry, which I think, Madam Speaker, is sabotage to sabotage the economic developments in the region, because you cannot do anything. West Nile, from the time it was created or it became part of Uganda, has never had the grid power. They brought generators. When RECO has been there, their contract is about to expire. There's no proper communication on the strategy that the government is laying to deliver the people of West Nile from this challenge of electricity. So what Gulu is suffering from is the last mile infrastructure. Gulu is on 33 kV, which is the last mile. And therefore, when there's a problem in Lira, automatically Gulu up to Kitgum and Moyo, which are connected on that particular grid, will go off. So there's really need for us as Parliament to demand from Ministry of Energy to account for the resources that this Parliament has appropriated for the last 3 years, to show cause as to why this region or the Greater North is not given adequate electricity. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable members.
Thank you, Honourable Leandro. One, when we have this power outage, we are actually trying to tell business communities to demonstrate, because a lot of people have gone out of business because of power outage. Power outage, the business community and the Gulu people, the Gulu community is going to demonstrate. If this energy man, energy minister, cannot assure us of power, there is going to be the biggest demonstration in Gulu. Thank you.
Honourable members.
May I pray?
Honourable Obot.
Madam Speaker, is it a coincidence that the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development has 3 ministers? Is it a coincidence that none of them is here, or it is God's incidence? If it is God's incidence, means maybe they are dead, or one of them has a problem. Very core sector ministry, and there is no single minister from energy. And this matter of Northern Uganda and West Nile has been a matter that has been in this Parliament for long. When shall we ever be seen that we are representing our people?
Okay.
Where are the ministers of energy?
Akena.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, the matter raised by my honorable colleague is not limited to Gulu. Over this last weekend, beginning on Friday up to Sunday evening, I would basically say the whole of northern Uganda was off the grid. And it happens quite frequently that we get blackouts for 3 days or so, however long. And this is a chronic problem which has been repeating itself time and time again. So much so that this weekend, the lack of power also affected water because National Water used the same power to pump the water. So we had no water within the Lira municipality, and I'm sure Gulu is also affected, and it crosses into a patch, and that line also crosses into Kiriandongo. So it is a much bigger problem which the Minister of Energy really needs to address. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Now, honourable members, the issue of failure to give power to West Nile really is a national scandal. It is a national scandal. We have discussed it many times, made many demands here, commitments made, but seems no one really is interested. Intermittent power supply, Gulu, Lira, it has also been here many times. And the ministers are not here.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the information I want even to...
Madam Speaker, I came and found some ministers were not around, and the Minister of Planning asked for them to answer tomorrow. What I'm going to say is my personal information on this issue of lack of power. I rang the minister. I was in Ajimani and I had no power. And our power comes from Gulu. Before our power arrives to Gulu, we cannot get power. So I rang somebody in Gulu who say Gulu is in darkness. I said, okay, if Gulu is darkness, definitely we cannot get the power because we don't get power elsewhere except through Gulu. So I rang the Minister of Energy. No. Muloni. She told after some, she says she'll check. So after some 30 minutes, she rang me to say, there is a general checkup from Lira to Gulu, and therefore to Ajimani and more. And by dawn, the power will come back. So I took, and I have no alternative. This is a minister who told me the truth. And by dawn, actually, power came, but briefly, and went back. Therefore, what I assume is the power is still under, the line is still under repair. This is my assumption, because this is I believe the minister told me the truth, and I believe also I'm telling the truth because I'm conveying what the minister said. So I appeal to colleagues to take it low, because until the power then it becomes, even if you cry tears, your tears will not turn into power. Yes, this is the truth. Therefore, Madam, I appeal we go to other subjects because the truth is until the power is repaired, we will not make a miracle to turn nothing into power. So therefore, I appeal to colleagues to calm down and take a fact that there is no power, and therefore we will get power as soon as possible. Thank you.
Now, Prime Minister, I really appreciate what you have said, but I think the government has an obligation to supply power. They have made commitments, so the Minister for Energy should come tomorrow and explain the continuous outage, Lira and Gulu, and the failure to supply West Nile, because this has been known for many years. Tomorrow the Minister of Energy must come himself or herself here to speak to that issue. Honourable members, join me in welcoming a delegation from Puranga sub-county. Is that you, Puranga? Represented by Honourable Otto and Honourable Ketayot. They are from Padre district. Welcome. Honourable Asa, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and my dear colleagues. I rise on a matter of national importance, and the issue is about insecurity in the refugee settlement camps, especially that of Palorinya, which has now spilled over to sub-counties in Moyo district. Madam Speaker, on 11th of October 2019, a South Sudanese refugee grabbed a gun from a policeman and thereafter shot and injured an assistant superintendent of police called Afande Tumusime. That was in Palorinya. He was later airlifted to Kampala for treatment. Madam Speaker, not only that, insecurity also spilled over to Lefori sub-county, especially in a place called Munu village, as well as Aguere Paris, where these refugees now come and start stealing chicken, goats, and even cows, and once they are stolen, it's taken to Sudan. They cross over and take it to Sudan. So, and this has caused a lot of uncertainty and insecurity in my constituency. My prayers, Madam Speaker, there should be intensification of patrols by the police and UPDF. Secondly, there should be setting up of what you call the vigilantes, so that really when these men come around, they can be able to stop the activities. Thirdly, Madam Speaker, all refugees must be registered and all their status must be known, because there are some who are rebels. Some are rebels and others are really genuine refugees. They come and live amongst the people, amongst the population, amongst the refugees, and thereby causing these issues. Fourthly and lastly, Madam Speaker, there should be general sensitization, mobilization, and education of the refugees so that they can embrace peace and security. Because we are hospitable, we have welcomed them, we have received them and settled them, and therefore they should reciprocate by being law-abiding and following our laws. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
I don't know whether the Minister responsible for the refugees has something to say about that.
Madam Speaker, there are two ways we use for assessing and determining refugee status. The first one is what we call prima facie understanding of a group of people who are seeking asylum, and we look at them and say, probably because of the pressure in their country, we admit them, and sometimes we admit them in big numbers. The second one is individual status determination, where we subject any group to individual critical assessment by the REC team, that is the Refugee Eligibility Assessment Team. What has happened in the South Sudan case, for example, in 2013, when the government of South Sudan nearly collapsed, there was a huge influx. And I must admit to my colleagues here, we employed the first method, that's the prima facie understanding, that these people in their hundreds are genuinely fleeing. What seems to have happened in the process, a small group of those who may have even been militia over the other side may have also joined the genuine asylum seekers and came into our country masquerading as genuine asylum seekers. And we have seen from time to time episodes of violence within their camps, and sometimes attempting to grab our weapons from the police that are designated to take care of law and order there. Madam Speaker, what we did first was, one, to request Internal Affairs to reinforce the police units, particularly that are manning West Nile units and parts of Acholi, that's in Palabek. That has been done. We are also now screening, and by doing that alone, I'm happy to report to this House that we're able to recover some items that are not meant for refugees, but items that are for executing war that had been brought in by refugees. Things like uniforms, things like firearms, things like bullets, and we have recovered that. We are continuing to screen to establish particularly those who may have been militia on the other side, but the difficulty we are facing, that I may confess to these people, my honorable colleagues here, there is nobody to consult on the other side to know that so and so Musa Choru, for example, is here. What was his status before he fled? Because the state is almost not there in some parts of the provinces that border us. So we are using our own systems. Yes, it is true that our police officer was disarmed, and the person who disarmed was quickly controlled by our enforcement teams. We have a debate now because some people were claiming that the person is mentally disturbed. He's also being processed to establish whether his mental status can allow him to be taken only to Butabika, or we can try him according to the laws of our country. But the assurance I want to give my country, the assurance I want to give the country is that we're on top of the situation and we'll do whatever it takes to ensure that the genuine refugees are allowed into the country, but those who might infiltrate us with the criminal intentions are neutralized. And we promise the country that we'll do that accordingly.
Honorable Sawanyana. Honorable Sawanyana. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. Madam Speaker, I rise on a point of national importance over the rampant arrests of people around Kampala. A case in point is the areas of Katwe, Chibuye. On the 24th of October 2019, police conducted an operation in Wansanso in Katwe over allegations of theft and criminality in the area. Madam Speaker, to our disappointment, over 200 people were arrested. Some of them were got from their shops, from their counters. Others were customers, and others were boys below the age of 13. Madam Speaker, to our surprise, when these people were taken to court, those who were 200 and more, they only took 80 people in courts of law. The others, their whereabouts are unknown. Why am I here is, Madam Speaker, through you to the Minister in charge of Internal Affairs. I'll give you information.
Thank you.
I was finishing. I'm going to give you information.
You make your prayers.
The Minister in charge of Internal Affairs should settle the hearts of those citizens and residents in Katwe over the whereabouts of the more than 120 people who are never arraigned in courts, and even further, the ministry should also create an impression and the confidence amongst the traders in this area, because now the traders fear to open their shops, thinking that the same operation might come back anytime soon, and this has affected their businesses. Your information can be welcome.
Thank you very much, Honorable College, for giving way and bringing up this matter. Right Honorable Speaker, we have a problem of either the intelligence network or the intelligence of the people in the intelligence departments. In the ideal society, before operation is carried out, some intelligence must have been gathered. About 2 weeks back, several shopping malls in
Well, now, from what was, we must talk about traders in Katwe. Minister for Internal Affairs, is he here? Could you update us next week about the whereabouts of the 120 traders? Which court was they? Which court did they go to? Which court were they taken to? Makindye. The balance of those who did not reach the Makindye court, the 120 traders. Give us an update next week. Honorable Songa, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise on a matter of urgent importance concerning the state of road and bridges in my constituency in Ura. For the last 2 weeks, 3 communities have been cut off from schools, from health centers, from market, because 3 bridges are broken down completely. And also the road are in bad state. So my prayer is to the Ministry of Works and UNRWA to use their emergency response to go and assess the situation of the road and the bridges so that they can do some emergency repair that can connect the people to the mainland. Thank you very much.
Could you identify the bridges? Which bridge, which road?
There
so
are
that
3
the
bridges.
does not
2 bridges are on a river called Amuda, and 1 bridge is on Ora River, connecting the parishes of Jopamato, Ndara, Lendu, and Alangi sub-county. Thank you.
Minister of Works to go and handle the situation in Ora and give us an update on Thursday next week. Honorable Esiangu, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as on the issue of national concern, the rains have continued to drop, and they're dropping very heavily. Soroti County has neither been spared. And these rains have created a lot of problems in the constituency, Madam Speaker. Most homes have been flooded, some have collapsed. The latrines are not usable because they are full. It has affected the water sources. Some parts of the Gweri, Awalwal, in the Gweri sub-county, Awukot, and Kamuda and Asuret, some roads are cut off. Madam Speaker, to make matters worse, the food crops, especially cassava, is rotting in the gardens because of the water. And the farmers are struggling to uproot them to try to save the situation. My appeal is, since my senior honorable member of Parliament for Muria, who is in charge of disaster preparedness in the House, is that 1, rescue my people with tarpaulins for drying their food crops, because the grounds are wet So there is a need to provide tarpaulins for drying the food crops that they are trying to rescue from their gardens. Two, Madam Speaker, there is also an increase of malaria because of waterlogging. So Minister of Health, if you can rescue and supply with some nets, at least to try to fight the malaria issue, and then some relief for our people. I beg to submit, Madam Speaker.
Disaster, you have had the situation in Soroti County and the Minister of Health. There are malaria outbreaks. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, this issue of rain is all over the country. In Pade, I traveled to Kamuli via the lake, everywhere. The gardens are flooded in Nakasongola. So I was seeking your, everywhere. So I was seeking your guidance. If you could direct that the minister brings a comprehensive national assessment of the whole country. Even this one of Nebi is the same problem. And also the minister to tell us when it is going to stop raining, because we now don't know. It's becoming a problem. So I was seeking your guidance if you could give a comprehensive order for the whole country, and we get a report on these things. Most obliged.
Honourable members, I think before we went on recess, there was that epidemic of hailstorms, the schools collapsing that went around the country, and we also asked the government to assess the implications. Now it is the rain. Rain everywhere, the bridges are gone, the roads are gone. Even me, I can't go home through my usual route. I have to go somewhere else. And food. Prime Minister, when can we have a comprehensive assessment and a solution? Because every day members are coming. From each area, matter of national concern, I have no food in my area, their schools are gone, the gardens are finished, there are no bridges, and I can't stop them because the things are happening every day. I don't know, Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, we shall make a statement here on Thursday next week.
Next week?
We shall be ready with that.
On the disaster situation in the country?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Next week. But in the meantime, the Minister for Disaster should supply the areas that have been reported. And the Minister of Health, I don't know what you're going to do about the malaria situation. Honorable
Madam, just before the Minister, just wanted.
Okay, Honorable, related to the disaster?
Yes.
Honorable Nyakecho?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Nyakecho Singiro here.
I rise up to request for assistance from government because 2 weeks ago, because of the heavy flooding, there's a boy from my area, my constituency, who drowned. He drowned in the moving water in the riverbank, and the body, the parents, the family, the entire community has been looking for the body up to now. We have failed to find this boy's body. He's from Tuba Parish. So I think it is time now that I request for further assistance from government in trying to locate the body of this boy, if we could find it. Maybe it has been taken somewhere further. My request is for further assistance from government, really, because we have tried locally and we have failed. That's what I wanted to add as the Prime Minister gives
further information, Madam Speaker.
Yes. Okay, let's finish this side and then this.
Madam Speaker, last week I raised an issue of Bukedea. I am happy that the Minister went to Bukedea and did some assessment. But from the time he went there and did assessment, nothing has been done. No food items were delivered and no non-food items were delivered. As just like Honorable Nyakecha said, yesterday 2 children from some sub-county, Kamuto sub-county, got drowned and died out of the water. Nothing has been done. People are sleeping in the classrooms, no blankets, houses have been put down, and I am happy you did the assessment, but nothing was delivered. You told me to call the commissioner that food was going to be delivered. Not even 1 kilo of rice was delivered to Bukedea.
Honorable Franca.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Antoroma.
Madam Speaker, I wanted to find out from the Minister, as we wait for the reports tomorrow, is it Thursday? We have been reporting the cases of disaster in this country. But in some cases, you report to the House, no action is taken at all. Some areas you report, a little bit of action is taken. And moreover, we know, Madam Speaker, that this House gives money to the ministry. This House plans for money and budgets money for disaster preparedness. And disaster preparedness ministry means they have to prepare for disaster, not react to disaster. They have to prepare so that when disaster comes, they are ready for action. Now, Madam Speaker, my district, Agago, I have reported areas of Maodege, areas of Lukwangole in Patao sub-county, areas of Latinling, Darotiba, in Omot sub-county, areas of Lokole sub-county, areas of some areas of Adilang, and quite a number, Madam Speaker. I have reported this time and again, and we do not receive the required attention. Especially at this point, we would need tarpaulins for people to use to you know, at least, actually in some areas, even mattresses get sucked in water. So when people are sleeping at night, they cannot, you know, the mist, the water gets into them. So when you give them tarpaulins, at least they are able to use the tarpaulins to stop the water from entering the mattresses. Madam Speaker, this really needs serious action. I thank you for giving me the opportunity.
But now, the members, I think we may have to actually write down, because otherwise I'll have to allow the whole House to speak about their issues. Have you written? Okay. Onamanyakun, Toroma, and Singiro.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I remember last session in the same house, this disaster. What happened is that I remember we appropriated funds for disaster preparedness for all those schools and health centers that were affected by the rains. I brought in the floor of Parliament as an issue of national importance about an health center, Malere Health Center too, and they referred me to the ministry. When I went to the ministry, they told me the money has been appropriated, but my health center has not been allocated money. Right, Honorable Speaker, it is very, very difficult for people in Karamoja to go and deliver in the hospital or in the health center. But now when they go there and they find that there is no roof, it is also another disaster. 2 weeks ago, a woman died in my constituency. She was pregnant and she was the wife to LC1 because of the water. She was trying to cross the river just as I came again in the last quarter. And I talked about a woman who lost her 4 months baby and 2 years again but there is nothing that has been done. Right, Honorable Speaker, people in Nakapipita are suffering. All the water that is coming, I talked about the road last week. I'm not seeing the Minister of Works here to give us a response on the issues. So as we talk now, people are still stuck and sleeping on the way. We need an emergency response for the whole country and especially Nakapipita district. Thank you.
I think the major response is going to be done. Let's chat on and Singiro and then we move.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just to add on, Madam Speaker, this issue of too much rain, it is countrywide. But in my constituency, that is Toroma, it has brought many mosquitoes, whereby, yes, I'm right, it has brought, I don't know, a different type of mosquito. They don't even respect the nets. The nets we got the other time are old and they have large holes. Me, myself, up to now, my body still has the bites of those mosquitoes. I think the government should come up with a plan to supply or to get nets for the people of Toroma.
Okay, Singiro, let's go to Singiro.
Right, Honorable.
Order, please.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you. Honorable colleagues, you recall that when we were passing our budget...
Order, please.
Right, Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, you recall that when we were passing the budget, we did put aside money on the contingency fund. That money, which is a lot of money, I thought was meant to address such issues of disaster. I don't know when we ever use this money. Don't you think, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, that it's a high time that we put our feet down and said we want a percentage of this contingency fund to go back to our districts to cater for issues like disasters? Buying ground sheets for simple schools, you have to run to a minister. A kilogram of sugar, salt, saucepans, you have to run to a minister. Can't we decentralize this fund so that districts do cater for these emergencies at a time when they do come in? Yes, that's one. On roads, as we talk now, Madam Speaker, I cannot move from one part of my constituency, from Isinjiro, that is Chikagate, to Kabuyanda, because the small swampy area has overflooded. Just this week alone, I've spent about 2.6 million shillings from my own meager resources, trying to at least create a passage for people to use as an emergency. I think it's high time we use this emergency fund, a contingency fund, to take it to districts to work on these roads, at least as an emergency. If need be, I recall one time when all the budget was cut to cater for these emergencies, when all our roads were completely cut off. And this is something we can do as soon as we possibly can do it, and it's not beyond our means and our powers to do. I want to thank you.
Fellow members, if you want to alter the operation of the contingency fund, you should come with a motion specifically here on that issue. We put on the order paper, we debate it, and take a decision. Minister of Health, on malaria, quickly, and we move.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, it has been a while since we have been talking about the malaria, the upsurge of the malaria cases in the country, and we did make a comprehensive statement to this House, Right Honourable Speaker, regarding the state and what we are doing as the Ministry of Health. And Right Honourable Speaker, allow me to assure the honourable members that our health facilities are well equipped with the medications to deal with the cases at the facility level. We have, however, also been trying to speak to the public and telling them what to do, especially ensuring that the homesteads are clean and there are no breeding sites for these mosquitoes. But allow me specifically regarding the mosquito nets to inform this House that the Ministry of Health this very month is beginning to receive mosquito nets, and we shall be distributing them to all the populations in the district. So we'll let you know when we are ready, but it will be soon. Thank you, Right Honourable.
Kahonda, 2 minutes. Kahonda.
Right Honourable Speaker, I rise on the matter of national importance. Madam Speaker, during the financial year 2017-2018, Government of Uganda facilitated sub-county councillors with honoraria allowances. And this was 228,000 per councillor in appreciation of their services. Right Honourable Speaker, a total of 49 councillors from sub-counties of Kabira, 14 councillors missed their allowances, Kashenshero, 19 councillors missed their allowances, and Chianga sub-county, 16 councillors missed their allowances. They were not paid. In an attempt to have them paid, the Chief Administrative Office of Mitoma District wrote several letters to the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Local Government, and many other reminders, but up to today, no positive response has been given. Madam Speaker, what is surprising is that when the Chief Finance Officer of Mitoma District followed the matter with the Ministry of Finance, she was told that the matter ended with the financial year 2017-2018. Therefore, no claim should be made. My prayers, Madam Speaker, is that Minister of Finance, in consultation with Minister of Local Government, should consider the claim of these councillors who missed their honoraria. And then two, Minister of Local Government should also explain to Ugandans, especially the people of Mitoma, as to why the 49 councillors were never paid their honoraria. Madam Speaker, I beg to read the relevant documents, including the claim that included the list of councillors that missed their allowances, the receipts of the sub-counties that actually received, among others. I beg to read.
Okay, but I think it may... You have written it down? Have you given one to the minister? Because it would have been better really to give the minister that... okay, Yule, maybe the minister, he'll get another copy.
Madam Speaker, I beg to read the correspondences regarding the councillors, the 49 councillors of Mitoma district that missed the honoraria allowances in the financial year 2017-2018, I beg today.
And the members, that letter will be transmitted to the Minister of Local Government, copy the Minister of Finance, to explain the circumstances surrounding the non-payment of those allowances. On the members, there were issues I wanted to address earlier. I want now to go back to 3D, item 3D on the order paper.
Item 3D, statements by Minister on the National Teachers Policy.
Minister of State for Higher Education.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. This is the statement, Madam Speaker. The country has over time been grappling with a number of issues affecting the teaching profession. Consequently, with support from UNESCO, the government of Uganda with 6 other countries, including Lesotho, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Burundi, and Guinea, undertook a comprehensive study on teacher issues in sub-Saharan Africa. The report for Uganda highlighted several issues affecting the education sector that directly relate to teachers, namely lack of a comprehensive policy and legal framework to manage the teaching profession, the poor quality of teachers training, lack of teacher professionalism, and lack of teacher motivation, among many others. In this regard, Madam Speaker, the study recommended development of a comprehensive national teachers policy to address these issues. A copy of the study, I beg to lay a copy of this study on the floor, Madam Speaker. Government accepted the recommendation and embarked on the process of developing a national teachers policy. My ministry then undertook a regulatory impact assessment which comprehensively analyzed teachers' issues in Uganda, and this further justified the development of the national teachers policy. These 2 reports informed the development of the draft national teachers policy, which was comprehensively consulted on. From the consultations, there was overwhelming support for the teachers policy. Madam Speaker, the specific objectives of the national teachers policy are: 1, streamline teacher management for better productivity, discipline, retention, and motivation; strengthen pre-service and in-service teacher training so as to enhance competences to effectively deliver quality learning outcomes and leadership at all levels of the education cycle; standardized teacher development, qualification, and practice across all levels; and to streamline the practice across all levels of education. And to, Madam Speaker, the key priorities of national teachers policies are: establishment of the National Teachers Council by the Act of Parliament to regulate the teaching profession; establishment of Uganda National Institute of Teacher Education to manage and guarantee quality assurance for the profession; development and implementation of the standards for teaching, institutional leadership and teacher qualification framework, and the mainstreaming cross-cutting issues into the teacher training, utilization, and teacher practices. Madam Speaker, the National Teachers Policy was approved by all organs of the education and sports sector, working groups, and was later presented to Cabinet for approval in line with the Article 111 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. Cabinet approved the National Teachers Policy for Uganda on the 1st of April 2019. The detailed policy implementation standards and guidelines were developed, and the policy was officially launched by Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament on behalf of His Excellency the President on the 5th of October 2019 at the World Teachers' Day celebrations held in Kamuli District. And Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the policy on
Thank
the floor.
you. Honourable members, for some time there has been concern of the absence of the National Teachers Policy, but it's now available for circulation and internalization. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, following the launch of the Teachers Policy, several issues came up in the media and they need clarification. Key among these issues, the requirement for all teachers to have a university degree. Madam Speaker and dear colleagues, in order to appreciate the need to standardize the teaching profession, allow me to highlight the historical evolution of the teaching profession in Uganda. 1. Teacher training in Uganda started with grade 1 teacher, then known as vernacular teachers. There was no defined entry qualifications then, and the entrants were identified by the missionaries from the communities and trained to teach basic reading, writing, and arithmetic. In 1954, grade 1 teachers training was phased out, and the training of grade 2 teachers introduced with entry requirements of a primary living certificate and 4 years of training. The best candidates were the ones admitted to teacher training, and were also subjected to selection interview to test their attitudes. In 1983, government phased out training of grade 2 teachers and introduced grade 3, elevated the entry requirements to Uganda Certificate of Education, and revised the training duration to 2 years. Grade 2 teachers were encouraged to upgrade to grade 3. Since then, Madam Speaker, for 36 years, the entry level of training grade 3 teachers has remained the same, but the low entry level and the short duration of training have been cited by several research findings as some of the reasons for the poor quality of teachers we have in Uganda today. The training of grade 5 teachers for secondary school started in 1965, with entry requirements being senior 6 certificate, initially with grades as low as subsidiary passes. In 1980, government sought to improve the quality of students admitted, and the entry requirement was elevated to principal passes. For 39 years, Madam Speaker, since then, the entry requirements and duration of training have remained the same. Why a degree in education for all teachers? Madam Speaker and honorable members, elevating the minimum entry level into the teacher profession to a bachelor's degree in education will help the government to achieve the following. 1, improve the quality of entrance into the teaching profession. Evidence from the best education systems around the world reveal that most important factors in determining how well children learn is the quality of our teachers. The best system draw their teachers from among the best graduates and train them rigorously and effectively, focusing on best classroom practices. Countries with the best education systems, including Ireland, Singapore, Japan, Switzerland, UK, and USA, consider degrees for that profession. Of course, in Ghana and Nigeria are excellent examples for our region. All these countries admit the best students to teacher training, and the minimum qualification is a degree and all master's degree for some of them. With the literacy level of our country and the development agenda the country is pursuing, We need the 21st century teachers with the right aptitude and attitude to train 21st century learners. The quality of entrance into the teaching profession now needs upgrade. The second reason, Madam Speaker, is to improve the status of the teaching profession. As role models, teachers need to have a status. A teacher with low qualification and low self-esteem cannot command respect in a society that is more educated than that teacher himself. The teachers used to be the brightest people in society, and they were opinion leaders. They commanded respect. A degree status will bring back that confidence and respect for a teacher, and also improve the image of the profession. By having degrees governed by a professional code of conduct and regulated by a professional body, the teacher's professional conscience will be managed, and the lost glory of the teaching profession will be definitely restored. 3, to improve the quality of teaching skills as well as upgrade content knowledge. Madam Speaker, the level of content and delivery skills provided at degree level is much higher, and therefore teachers will be more empowered. Higher level of pedagogical skills will require a trainee with a high level of aptitude to grasp and practice the skills. This will benefit our learners. Of course, to also motivate the teachers. Teachers with degree are more confident in both exposure and skill, and are more motivated to teach, especially coupled with the fact that they will have both status and they also have a much better pay. This will also help to harmonize the status of teachers across all levels of education. To minimize the grading of teachers according to levels, which breeds superiority-inferiority complex among teachers, a degree status for all will level their professional status. It will especially motivate the current grade 3 and grade 5 teachers who feel lower in status, yet they are all very important as teachers regarding of their level, the level they teach. It also helps to improve the employability of grade 5 teachers in the secondary schools. A recent tracer study by the Ministry of Education, which was carried out in 2019, indicates that the demand for grade 5 teachers in public secondary schools has declined.
Point of procedure.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we know Wekitiwa Muyingo as the Minister for Higher Education, very good at higher education. But in that ministry, we have the overall what? Minister. Madam Speaker, wouldn't it be procedure right that the Minister for Education and Sports herself in her capacity as a full minister comes in Parliament to be able to present to us so that she tells us what does she really want to achieve in this exercise of regrading teachers from primary to university. Wouldn't it be procedure right, Madam Speaker? It's a serious policy issue. Is it? Okay, from nursery, from kindergarten, where I never went, from nursery, to university. Wouldn't it be procedure right that the whole minister or in charge, who knows everything, not higher education, comes here and helps us, Madam Speaker?
Honour members, my difficulty is slightly different because I don't know whether the minister intends us to discuss that statement, because the issues you are touching will attract a debate. And I don't know whether actually you uploaded the statement for the members. I don't have it myself. You know, so the more you are talking, I'm getting more worried that, you know, people want to discuss.
Madam Speaker, this statement was uploaded long ago and it is on your iPads.
The statement?
Yes.
Is there?
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
You have it.
But I think the members want to, where is the senior minister?
Madam Speaker, the senior minister is attending to other equally important state duties.
You present and then maybe there will be a debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Of course, this also will help to harmonize salaries of teachers across all levels of education. Today, salaries are paid to teachers according to the level at which they teach, regardless of qualifications. Many primary school teachers have upgraded up to degree level, but are still being paid as grade 3 teachers, and this has greatly demotivated them. Standardizing graduation, other qualifications and salaries will keep all the teachers highly motivated to do us a good job, Madam Speaker. It also helped to improve the majority of teachers at primary school level. Currently, most teachers graduate at the age of 18 and are too young to exhibit the maturity required to nurture the children at primary school level. The move to increase their training level and the duration is also intended to improve the level of maturity required for teachers to effectively play their role. Transitional period, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker and dear colleagues, a transition period of 10 years has been provided for the current teachers to upgrade. Within this period, those who do not upgrade will remain within the current salary structures. And after 10 years, they will be phased out. Who is responsible for the funding? Madam Speaker and dear colleagues, let me assure Parliament that government will continue funding the training of teachers. Therefore, all the practicing teachers will upgrade through in-service training programs. What's my prayer, Madam Speaker? Is that Parliament supports the implementation of the National Teachers Policy and fast-track the approval of the National Teachers Act to give a legal framework as prescribed by this policy. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Has the National Teachers Act been presented here? The one you want us to fast track, has it been read? Not yet. So cannot fast track it because it isn't here.
Madam Speaker, we are working on the bill. It will soon be presented to Cabinet first before it comes here.
Let's have a few comments. Honorable Asamo. Yes, point of procedure. Honorable Kizige.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister has just been presenting highlights of the teacher policy, and it's been presented in Parliament for the first time. I think it would be procedurally right for honourable colleagues to go and look at the policy, read it, and those are highlights, those are not the policy. Then that would put us in a position to debate effectively. Otherwise, to debate without reading the policy is quite a challenge.
Honourable members, you know, what I had understood originally was that the minister was coming to read the policy, and then he started submitting. Then I got worried. Now he's submitting. Members will get interested in debating. They've not read the entire policy. Can we appoint a date to discuss the policy? Anyway, can we amend it even if we discuss it? Is there anything we can change as Parliament?
Right, Honourable Speaker. The reason why this policy, why I had to make this present, was just the purpose was to lay on table the policy and to make the members aware that there is a policy.
Now, what is the purpose of the debate? What are we going to resolve? That's the purpose. Yes, Honourable Oboth.
Right, Honourable Speaker, on a procedural issue which you are raising, actually you're guiding us from the minister could not resist the temptation to explain the policy. But actually we know as our mandate as Parliament, we don't debate policies. We legislate. The minister, I think, is putting us on notice that there's a bill coming. We should get ready. I believe that just for the sake that he wanted to give us a little more explanation, Parliament cannot be seen to be debating policies. We legislate. Since there's a bill coming, and that is actually the right way. Government develops a policy, that policy transits into an act of Parliament. So, Madam Speaker, as you were guiding, we could hold our fires. He has tickled us. I hope the bill will come soon, while our fire is still on. But we, at the meantime, as Honorable Kizige has kind of rightly said, we could internalize. Because what has come out clearly is about the qualification of teachers. But I believe there are more things in the national teachers policy that would enable us. It's not something we can do haphazardly. We are all products of teachers. And if we are to do it, Madam Speaker, we have to do it right. Thank you.
Honourable Member, yes, Honourable Moki.
Yeah, thank you very much. Right Honourable Speaker. Just an additional issue on the procedure. It is true, Right Honourable Speaker, that as Parliament, it will not be right to discuss policy, and the minister has come to inform us about this policy. But we wanted, Right Honourable Speaker, to guide, because this policy of education has far-reaching consequences. Just last week, I was participating in a meeting where there was a discussion about imaginary leadership, and the Minister of Education was there. And in that meeting, it was very clear that one of the reasons why we are having a system in Uganda in terms of employment and others which is not fit to tackle the issues in the 21st century because of the lack of competences, skills, things like innovation, like critical thinking, which is not within our education system. And this policy is not bringing those very important skillfulness in the system. Now, when should Parliament come in to resolve this matter? Because it's a very, very fundamental question for Uganda. It might be difficult to discuss the policy now, but how can we, as Parliament, either through the Committee of Education and then the floor here, try to handle this matter? Because it's a very critical matter for Uganda. I don't know how, because it might not be through the law, because the law, but how do we really come up with a situation that can assist this country to move forward? Because it's very fundamental.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable. There is a problem, Madam Speaker, in this country where government comes up with a policy and starts implementing it without a legal provision. One of the recent cases we are handling is the sugar policy, where they came up with the policy of zoning, started effecting it and implementing it without an enabling law. So there is also a danger that we are being hoodwinked. A policy has been laid on the table, they will start implementing it and will never even come up with a law. So my view, and I would like the members supporting me, we should say, yes, we have received this policy, but do not implement until you come up with the law. So that if they start implementing it, we have a basis of holding them accountable.
Honourable members, the fact that the policy has not been laid does not mean it is now of universal application. So we don't expect the ministry to implement it. We also expect you to bring the law And I expect the members to read the policy together with the law when it comes, so that to see whether they are moving together. So thank you for the information. It's just information. It's not for you to use. On the same thing? Oh, on Aja? Aja.
Madam Speaker, I had, I've been seeing you as I was laying the policy on table. Madam Speaker, I think there's something that we need to tackle as a country than what he has told us about teachers, which is the curriculum. I would believe that we will be looking at the curriculum much faster than the policy of the teachers, because the curriculum is wanting. People finish school and there are no jobs. So how does the policy get in touch with the curriculum that we are going, so that our children also finish school and can either be self-employed or something? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable members, since you are trying to discuss the policy without it being on the order paper, it's not for discussion. Please. Honourable Gonza, then Honourable.
Right, Honourable Speaker. The Minister presented a policy but also started a debate on that policy by giving the statement he gave, which actually provoked many of us. But now that we have decided that we are not going to implement whatever he has presented, I think that's a good start. But my concern, Right Honourable Speaker, is that we must address the challenges that the teachers are facing holistically. It is not professionalism that we are being concerned about. It is the unfair remuneration for the professional work these people are doing. And when that law comes, can that law address the problems of teachers holistically? And that's my concern, Right Honourable Speaker. Thank you.
And members, on that one, really, you are free to bring a motion here so that we discuss the areas which you find difficult for the teachers, so even ahead of the policy. You bring a motion, this House will listen to it. Honourable
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I thank you for your wise ruling. Actually, my prayer is through Madam Speaker. Let the Minister of Education and the Minister of Education provide us with a detailed evaluation of all the policies they have put in place. And basically, I'm interested in the policy on feeding of UPE children, because I'm sure the Minister eats every day, goes for lunch and takes breakfast. If we could get that kind of evaluation, if we can get that kind of evaluation, we shall determine. But I want to put this on record. Teachers are educated and they have their degrees. They are there, but as you have ruled, we shall wait and touch on that matter. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honourable.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And thank you for your wise ruling on that. Madam Speaker, mine is a point of procedure on a different matter. Yesterday, Madam Speaker, we almost lost one of our own, a leader and somebody that I hold in high esteem, somebody that has used all of his time to right the wrongs and make Uganda a better country to live in, all of us. And a point of reference, Madam Speaker, is the violent crackdown of a peaceful assembly at
On that
Namala.
one, I've allowed the leader of opposition to present a paper. She's going to speak on that. I've already given her authority. She's going to speak on that issue.
She gotta speak on it?
Yes, yes. Yeah, let's go back. Where is the Minister for Youth? Minister for Youth is not here. The Minister for Youth?
Speaker,
Yes.
I am standing in for the Minister for the Youth. I beg your indulgence, Right Honourable Speaker.
Order, yes. Item 3C. Yes, Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, the Minister for Youth was feeling unwell, and she had to leave, unfortunately. And she asked me, Right Honourable Speaker, to beg your indulgence to stand in for her. I would like, Right Honourable Speaker, to draw your attention to a letter addressed to your Right Honourable self from the Minister, making reference to this subject of youth unemployment, the plan to address the youth unemployment in Uganda. Right Honourable Speaker, some information about this subject has been given on the floor of Parliament before, but Right Honourable Speaker, that at the same time, Cabinet directed the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development to come out with a comprehensive plan as well. The Ministry, since the directive was given, has completed consultations and harmonization with the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, the National Planning Authority and the Uganda Investment Authority, and as is the practice with the Cabinet, is now ready to re-engage Cabinet by the close of this month, November 2019. Therefore, the Minister is begging the indulgence of the Right Honourable Speaker and this Honourable House that they come up with that plan and inform Parliament when Cabinet has actually discussed it comprehensively as well. This is a modest request and humble request to you, Right Honourable Speaker, and Parliament to stay discussions of this matter and to reassure your office that the Ministry will in plan as soon as Cabinet has been appraised of it. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to request.
Well, I hope that letter reaches me because I've not seen it. But the issue of youth unemployment is so critical. Last week, we had informed the young people that we'd have this debate, and they were here. They traveled from different parts of the country to come and listen to the plan on comprehensive employment. So it's a really serious matter. And I think that the Cabinet should treat it with urgency. And we think end of November is far, because this request was made to you in July. It was made in July. This is now November.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I guess the reason as to why the Minister stepped out and left my good friend, the Honourable Mululi Mukasa, I think it was because the facts. We used to have the Youth Livelihood Program, the Ministry. It was implemented, and actually, even we kept on appropriating money. Cabinet approved the second phase after assessing the impact of the Youth Livelihood Program. When it came to the budget, last year's budget, we didn't give them money. And actually, their budget was slashed. As a result, that has also increased on the problem. Yes, I expected the Minister to speak to the same, because at least I have information, Right Honourable Speaker, in my possession, to the extent that there was a review of the Youth Livelihood Program, and I even recommended increasing the budget for funding for that activity. And that is
Honourable, this House asked the Minister, we had a debate on some issues, and the House asked the Minister to bring a comprehensive plan to address unemployment, not just the fund, unemployment of the young people. That's what we really wanted her to address. Because that fund is limited, very limited application. Yes, on a Pentagon, and then Honorable Chinji, you might know where the other Chinji is.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, this issue of unemployment has hit our youth so much. And if you move in the countryside, you realize that majority of them now keep around towns, gambling, betting houses and the kind. But also, Honourable Speaker, I've noted something that is probably frustrating our youth who would get an opportunity to probably work overseas. I have an example where last week I helped someone to process papers to work. This guy studied in Abu Dhabi. He did engineering. He performed very well. The university invited him to give him a job. I helped him to process all papers through Interpol, through ISO and everything. But the commissioner is not giving a clearance. He's claiming that Joint Intelligence Council is doing work, yet we have done so through ISO and Interpol, and the guy is about to lose a job. Imagine such an opportunity where we have done everything. So I think there is a problem in clearing. We also need to make it easier without, of course, losing the intention of verification, but also make it easier for our people to get employment. I thank you.
But those are now individual cases. Minister, the end of the month is too long, really. From July, and we're about to go for Christmas. End of July is too, end of November is too far.
Right Honourable Speaker, I think since most of the work has been done, we could come back here, Minister of Gender, in 2 weeks' time, Right Honourable Speaker.
The matter should be reflected again on the order paper after a fortnight. On the members, let's go now to, we are done, okay, those are the items for number 3. Can I now invite the Leader of Opposition to make the statement, and then we'll go back to the responses.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity. I am up on our rule of procedure number 52. To make a statement on especially what happened yesterday. I have noted with deep concern about yesterday's action by Uganda police force using excessive force against opposition leaders and supporters who legally had a meeting in Nambole. There is no doubt that the police is determined to harm opposition leaders in Uganda. At all times, FDC has tried to comply with the law by writing to police, notifying them of the intended meetings. Police has always opted to keep quiet. No reply is given until the last minute that they issue press statements stopping the meetings. On Monday, 14th October 2019, 3 weeks ago, the area member of Parliament, Kira Municipality, wrote to the police informing them of FDC intended meeting to be held at Nambole for 4th November 2019. The police never replied to the notification. The police silence can refer to plan move to allow FDC leaders come out and be harmed with the target on Dr. Kiza Besige, one of our party leaders. The communication to Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs, the Assistant General Inspector of Police, Mr. Asuman Mugenyi, as early as October 30th, 2019, did not yield anything. The FDC meeting had attracted leaders across the country to discuss pertinent matters regarding their party. It was shocking to be told on Monday morning that our meeting cannot take place, and no genuine reason was given whatsoever to the organizers. Shocking scenes later emerged from Nambole, where police and the military used live ammunition, poisonous tear gas, and excessive force to disperse party delegates and Dr. Kiza Besigye, who were heading to Nambole. Innocent pupils of St. Mary's Primary School, Byogerere, were tear gas while sitting their primary living examinations. There is a war going on between the state and the citizens of Uganda that is causing political unrest and political intolerance against dissenting voices. This brutality these days is applied to all Ugandans, irrespective of their political affiliation. Examples include journalists who were arrested while trying to deliver a petition to the Inspector General of Police on 4th November 2019. These journalists were protesting the continued violation of their rights by Uganda police. Many journalists were tortured and some of their clothes torn. The matter of mistreatment of fishermen by the armed forces has been before us here in Parliament. Illegal evictions of Ugandans on land with the destruction of their properties by police is everyday occurrence. What happened to Makerere University students is still fresh in our minds. What should Ugandans do in search for the democracy? What should we do sincerely? Registered political parties are denied opportunity to operate freely. There is already a roadmap issued by an electoral commission where elections will start next year in March. There were many Ugandans yesterday arrested all over the city who are still in police custody, and police is denying them access to their relatives. Dr. Besigye's rights are violated every day. His property destroyed. His health is at risk as every time is targeted to be sprayed with dangerous chemicals. This state-engineered brutality with impunity remains a cause for concern, where perpetrators of incidents of political violence are rarely held to account. It goes against tenets of open and free political participation, which Uganda subscribes to as democracy. We are back to dark days of a mean era. We struggle for peace and democratic process. Our counterparts believe in terror, brutality, maiming and killing innocent Ugandans gathered peacefully in illegitimate meetings. We demand the following: unconditional release of all Ugandans arrested yesterday in the fracas that was on Byogerere Ginger Road. Number two, government commitment to allow all registered political parties and other Ugandans free political space to do consultation with their people. The Minister for number three, the Minister for Internal Affairs to take responsibility of human rights abuse by Uganda police and resign. Number 4, government to compensate all Ugandans whose properties were destroyed or lost due to yesterday's fracas. Number 5, all those police officers who were involved be held personally liable, arrested and prosecuted before courts of law. I beg to move.
Thank you very much, Honorable Leader of Opposition. I have a few comments. Honorable, yes, you want to say something? 3 minutes? Then, let's start there. Let me write your name.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And thank you very much, Madam Lop, for your valuable submission. Madam Speaker, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. Leadership is about identifying a problem and providing a solution before it becomes a crisis. Madam Speaker, legally, there is only one option to obtain power. You compete for power. Democracy is about getting to the population and sharing your vision. Now, if our leaders cannot be given the opportunity to interact with Ugandans, share their visions and the plan they have for the country, how else can they and what else can they do? Madam Speaker, there is one fundamental question that awaits this Parliament. And the fundamental question that awaits this Parliament is basically one: what did you do? Madam Speaker, this country is taking a dangerous path. And the earlier and the sooner we wake up as a country, the better. Madam Speaker, we're honored that you're a leader in this great country and you care so much about Uganda. I will ask you, Madam Speaker, that you provide a leadership when there is something still available to save. The times we're headed to are dark times. The question will come back to you and to me, Madam Speaker, simply, what did you do? I think we should not make a mockery of democracy. You're not doing me a favor.
Please conclude. 1 minute to conclude, then Honorable Boto.
Madam Speaker, the presidency in this country has been criminalized. It has become a crime to compete for the presidency or the office of the president. Every qualifying Ugandan should be given room and space to compete. We should decide, Madam Speaker, if we're ready for democracy, and if we're not, we better determine and define the democracy that we need. It is either you allow our leaders to share their vision with the population in Ugandans, or we say we're not a democratic country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Otto. Then the shadow.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Article 69 of the Constitution, which I prefer to read verbatim, says, the people of Uganda shall have a right to choose and adopt a political system of their choice through free and fair elections or a referendum. And Clause 2 says the political system referred to in Clause 1 shall include movement political system, multi-party political system, or any other democratic and representative system. Madam Speaker, I seek your special guidance as the President of CPA. Ugandans in a referendum of CPC decided that we go multi-partism. Political parties were registered: NRM, UPC, DP, JEMA, CP, FDC, and they are all, most of and others, represented in this House. We are here members of Parliament. We get paid through the parliamentary system, even if we represent political parties. But we have a situation, Madam Speaker, where outside there is as if there is no multipartism. Outside there, it is a different business from what is taking place in this House. So, the question I'm asking, is multi-party functional? SFDC, we have even received money, the component that government gives political parties, according to the percentage of representation in the House. DP has received money. All the opposition parties have received money, thanks to this Parliament, for mobilization. But outside there, Madam Speaker, you write a letter to the police, you go to the DPCs, they will tell you this is a sensitive matter. We are waiting for orders from above. Your function arrives and the DPC will say, please help me, I have not received any communication. They don't even tell you that the meeting is not allowed. So the pictures we are seeing on social media of spraying a whole canister on one person called Dr. Kiza Besigye, which could have killed him, is terrible. Of breaking his windscreen, of spraying his vehicle. I think we need answers from government. If the multipartism is not functional, then we go back to the movement system, which is provided for in the Constitution. So, Madam Speaker, we need answers. It is that kind of violence against the opposition that you... We just, Madam Speaker, you help us as the Speaker of this House. We need answers on what we should do, what the criteria should be to hold public rallies, what procedures we should follow, which office to drop the letters, whether we should continue being funded. We need answers. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Segona. Segona Chivumbi, Basalirwa. Welcome.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I have said here before, and I want to repeat, that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Today, it's Dr. Besigye. Tomorrow, it's me and you. That's number one. When we were making this law, I was in the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, and we agreed that we need a regulatory framework as citizens. Of course, today people propose that we should have the Public Order Management Act repealed. And then the question is, what is going to be the regulatory framework? If I'm going to write to the IGP, suffer the labor and pain of delivering that letter in Naguru, and I do not receive a response, and the only response I receive on the day of my function, and it is tear gas and bullets. Honorable colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, one day I received visitors from my constituency in my house, and because there were more than 5, to be specific, there were 13, I was attacked by the DPC leading a convoy with 4 patrol vehicles, and the reason was I had not informed the police that I'm receiving visitors in my house. And my reaction was to lock the gate, and we both imprison ourselves, myself and the DPC, who was an unwanted visitor. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, you may treat this as a very simple matter, but tell me what I'm supposed to do if I comply with the law and somebody seeking to enforce the law does not comply with the law. Are we supposed to use spears, pangas? What? Why would those children suffer doing their PLE? Simply because you have a reckless police officer who does not respond to a simple letter. The law gives them the mandate to discuss with the organizers the venue, the timing, the dates, and they simply keep quiet. And the reason is because we have an Inspector General of Police, a deputy, police officers who have turned political. When we go there, they tell us they do not want to get involved in our politics. But their work is to protect everyone, including politicians. Do we commit an offense by being politicians opposing this government? Are we inherently criminal because we are in the opposition? I think this House needs to take a step, and a bold step. We are the ones appropriating money for these people to buy tear gas. Maybe we should channel the money to salaries, and we do not give them money for tear gas.
Chumbi Asmani, then I get...
Honorable Speaker, I thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, I think this is the 10th or 100th time we are speaking about the same issue. Right Honorable Speaker, you presided over the enactment of the POMA. But Right Honorable Speaker, under POMA, police is supposed to stop a gathering on only 3 conditions. 1, traffic, if the venue, if it will obstruct traffic. 2, if the venue has been earlier booked. 3, crowd control. And Right Honorable Speaker, what the police is using to really go against our law is that they never respond in writing. The law says they must respond to you in writing within 24 hours, giving reasons for their objection, and invite you for a meeting to discuss an alternative venue or an alternative date. The law does not give them powers to prohibit. Right Honorable Speaker, this issue is so critical that at one time I petitioned the Constitutional Court on these very powers, and I won a case. In the constitutional case, Mwanga Chivumbi versus Attorney General. Right Honorable Speaker, it's after that case that they enacted the Public Order Management Act, POMA. Right Honorable Speaker, the Supreme Court pronounced itself, police do not have powers to prohibit. They only have powers to regulate. By every extent, they have abused the letter of the law. What is left for Ugandans? Because in March this year, election cycle starts in this country. March this year, youth elections and women elections start this year. The Electoral Commission has given out an electoral calendar. We are political parties interested in taking over government. And we want to compete fairly and square, and lose fairly and square. And we don't fear to lose. But this is in a way a process of rigging an election. You are stopping people to organize and to mobilize. And in a way, you want voters to vote on the basis of ignorance. And an ignorant voter is very dangerous to the security of the country. And as we go around it, we know what the establishment is doing. The president is busy meeting every other person in this country, of course using taxpayers' money. We see it with the full figure, butcher man, wherever. We don't care. But all that we demand is that much as you have all the powers of incumbency, can you give us an opportunity, weak as we are, to freely go and...
Honorable Vasalirwa.
Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issue of the police, with the so-called permission
there is another big challenge. When you write to police notifying them of an event and you deliver the letter to Naguru, they don't have any stamp where they acknowledge receipt. So what happens is that they give you a book and you sign in the book. Now, if the people are asking whether you really have notified the police, you have no evidence. Because as is the practice elsewhere, when you deliver a document, they are supposed to stamp on the document. Police does not have a received stamp anywhere. And it has become a very big challenge. Number two, Right Honourable Speaker, when these people are arrested for ostensibly...
I want to thank my colleague. They actually had that stamp, they used to append it, they withdrew it.
Right Honourable Speaker, the challenge, of course the challenge with that is even if you wanted to take police to court over their actions, the issue of evidence becomes extremely difficult. But Right Honourable Speaker, what happened yesterday to Dr. Besigye and the others, the biggest challenge we have is that even when police arrest these people and they are taken to various police cells, eventually they are not produced before courts of law. They are not charged. And if they are charged, there is no police officer who comes to court to give evidence. I have represented, Right Honourable Speaker, all these people, the Dr. Besigyes, the Mwanga Chivumbis here. We always ask them, you are very quick to arrest people, but very slow to come to court to give evidence. So at the end of it all, what is happening, Right Honourable Speaker, is persecution rather than prosecution. Finally, Right Honourable Speaker, we need to help the police, especially at the level of DPCs. These DPCs will not take any decision unless they get communication from above. Government really needs to clarify what is the role of a DPC when it comes to an assembly. Do they have the final authority? Do they have to call the IGP or deputy IGP to take a decision? And some of these are our friends. We speak with them, we engage them, and they will tell you there is no decision we can take unless the IGP or the deputy IGP has given instruction. Now, in command and structure, and especially when we are dealing with human rights and freedoms, the issue of subjecting freedoms to the whims and machinations of a few people, Right Honourable Speaker, if this House does not pronounce itself on that matter, today it is us, tomorrow it is somebody else.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I rise to condemn the violation of human rights in this country. Right Honourable Speaker, the rights we talk about, they are inherent. They accrue to us by virtue of being born. That's why the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda has a preamble dedicated to our history as a country. As a result, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, we have a full chapter in the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda about rights. The state has a duty to facilitate the enjoyment of those rights. What we are seeing today, Right Honourable Speaker, is the violation of those rights. My worry is that today you may be in command and you can abuse the law, you can do anything because you are in command. Tomorrow, the humble gentleman, the names of Dr. Kiza Besigye, who was handled that way, can be in command tomorrow as the commander-in-chief. I keep on wondering what can happen if someone treated that way. The reason as to why we have a preamble in our constitution, that we remember our history, where we came from. The Uganda we want, the future, is the future of our country. My good friend, the Honorable Moses Ali, will bear me witness. You know where we've come from. You remember. So as the generation, people of our generation, we don't want to see tomorrow when actually an individual is made to account for what he did in the past. They don't build countries like that. So I call upon this House, Right Honourable Speaker, that we come out to pronounce ourselves out on human rights violations
If someone has committed an offense, can we see the record where you have tried them and convicted them? Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm a victim of the same, of state violence. When we were in Arua, we ended our campaign early and went in a hotel. I had not imagined that actually the state, which is supposed to protect me, can come for me from one hotel. We kept quiet about that. We were tried, and not even the state abandoned charges against us. The last time we were in the court, we were committed to high court, and they just kept up to now. They say we shall call you. Yes, Honorable Speaker, when we were in court, they adjourned our cases Sunday after committing us. We insisted that can we not the next day to your report? They said no, that one we have put it away. And I said, what type of trial is this? So what we want to see, whoever is in charge of this prostitution, if anybody has committed an offense, I'm not saying that we shouldn't respect the police, but the police should.
No, Wagaba. No, Wagaba. Nandala Gaba. Go this side.
I remember when the president was swearing in at the beginning of this term, he stated clearly that his mission will be twofold: to make sure there is no opposition by 2021 and to bring the country to a middle income status. Unfortunately, the way the two individuals, particularly the president and the deputy IGP, because I know as a fact that the Inspector General of Police is not in charge. So the two individuals are, the way they are conducting the business of finishing off opposition is not only actually creating much more opposition, which opposition is now becoming more informal, but is also scaring away the cherished investors. The kind of scenes we see in Makerere, on the roads and everywhere that bring out this kind of brutality do not favor anybody, including the two key individuals who want to die in power. It's very pathetic that most of us who have read history do not want to know where this country has come from and where it is going. The beauty is that the international community, particularly where most of them have been running for aid, for medical cover, is shrinking in terms of space. The other beauty is we are beginning to see men and women who do not fear the bullets and the tear gas. And the day people start giving out their lives, whether you have tear gas or bullets, is the day we are bringing much more chaos in this country. Terrorism like ISIL did not develop because it is because of this kind of repression. Yes, we are going to start identifying the individuals who are used in the operations, but I know ultimately that the central command comes from the president. It is brought down to the deputy IGP, who also commands the DPCs. So we'll start identifying the individuals. Yes, we'll take them to courts, some of which are presided over by cadres, but ultimately, they will pay. But we wouldn't want to reach a situation where the country runs into flames simply because particular individuals want power at all costs. It hurts, it really hurts to see our fellow Ugandans being tortured, brutalized, simply because you do not want people to express their opinion.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for allowing us to state these things on the floor of Parliament. Madam Speaker, you recall, I was the first person to take pink substance, and the one who commanded it was Kawesa. You know Kawesa. Oh yes, you know Kawesa. Madam Speaker, we're in a multi-party. I am a Secretary General of a party. And the mobilization or recruitment is not done in this house, it is done out there, and not in the boardroom. And Madam Speaker, it is so painful that you have allowed multi-party to be around and you're the leader, you are the same one blocking it. It doesn't make sense. You come here, you appropriate money we share for parties to go and function. For you, you function using even state resources, but you don't allow others to what? To function. Madam Speaker, it is so painful. Even the Bible does not like it. Even the Quran. If Ndugurugunda was here, I would have again told him today that Ndugurugunda, you are good at saying Ndugu. We are tasked here as Secretary Generals of parties in the House, with police, with the people in the Prime Minister's office, with Lukutana representing Attorney General, to go and work on mechanisms. That time again it had been worse like this. That what method should we apply? We worked, brought out rules, regulations to really operationalize the Political Organization Act. It has never come here. And it was clear in that meeting that the police is only informed, and that there were clear indications that even in a hotel, in a private place, you are not even in a public place, police has no authority over it. But Madam Speaker, what is happening is so painful. And the reason they are doing it, the middle income of 2020 has collapsed. You recall President Museveni said there will be a car by 2018. There is no car. Now, he has discovered to solve opposition is not coming, he wants to use force. Madam Speaker, we want you to help us. As a president of CPC, very good speaker, can't you tell your friends that it is a problem in this country which needs to be addressed? Madam Speaker, they say as you are seated, I'm a Secretary General, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as you are seated, they say this side in their rules will be opposition. This side would be government. And you have obeyed it. You have put us this side, you have put the other side. Independents are part of us. In fact, they are independent of each other. They should have been. But that's not a big issue. Madam Speaker, you have done it as the rules say. But how haven't you allowed multi-party to function? If they don't want multi-party as per the Constitution, we are asking them to come out and say we don't want multi-party. When there was going from one-party system to multi-party, Ochegere was put around, Ochegere who carried the dove. You recall him, honorable brother of mine, Butimi. He is now where? He is now a minister, is an ambassador in charge of what? West Africa. We have discovered many things. We had told in the house here that multi-party should come without even going for a referendum to waste money. President Museveni was the one saying, we need a multi-party, but to Jeko. That was the word to say. Let them go to Jeko. Now we have gone. Why are you following us? Why? Give us space to operate so that we compete for power as other people have done it. Madam Speaker, in 1980, I was in senior too. I followed the campaigns seriously. And I want to tell my colleagues here, I'm going to give you 2 examples and I end. The campaign which was there, President Museveni by then was a UPM candidate. He came in Bale with Chive Ginger. We are the only small kids who brought him menvu to eat at the cricket ground. When he was standing as also an MP, one man called Kutesa won. He got 7 votes in his area, like his name. Everybody say he will never be a president, but he's now a what? A president. When we were making amendment to the Constitution, there was a friend of mine called Dan Chwalabi, he used to sit somewhere there, he used to sit that side. He said, we don't want independence in this Constitution. Whoever was there, I'm sure you were there. He said, I'm the one who stood up by and I said, Dan, I'm not so sure. These parties are not good as for now. They are not, they will rig you and you will need some space. Indeed, when he went to Chiboga, He stood, he lost, he stood again as what? Independent. If you get down to all of you in town here, this situation is so bad. So bad.
Ola Agava. Abbas.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I saw the video, and so for myself, what happened at Chireka, especially while Dr. Besije was being sprayed with that water. And I put myself in the shoes of two people. I put myself in the shoes of Dr. Besije after seeing the video. I also put myself in the shoes of the officers enforcing the law. One time, Right Honorable Speaker, as I moved to the constituency around the Chengera, I think, the traffic police stopped me inadvertently. I didn't know it was me they were stopping. I drove on until Masaka. Then other traffic police stopped me. And when they stopped me, they told me I had been stopped by police and I didn't stop. That's why they are arresting me. I was embarrassed. Of course, as a member of parliament, there was no reason as to why traffic police would stop me and I don't stop. So while I put myself in the shoes of Dr. Besije, I asked myself a question. Why do senior people, senior Ugandans, why don't they comply with police orders? Why don't they comply with the legal orders? If the police has instructed you to stop a rally, it's unfair. But as a senior citizen, maybe it makes more meaning that you keep away from the scene. That doesn't become as glaring, bad as it was. Now, when I put myself in the shoes of the enforcing officers, I again ask the same question. If I were in their shoes, why would I spray water on an individual as if with an intention to kill, then to finish him off? Because the water hit Besije and he fell on the car. He stood up again defiantly like he normally does. They sent water again, it hit him, he fell again. I think maybe the Minister of Internal Affairs might need to check a bit. We might have young people in the police who are overzealous in execution of their duties, and they end up putting the government name in disrepute. You can apply force to effect an arrest, but you should apply reasonable force. I think what I saw was extreme force.
I want to thank my young brother, Honorable Abbas Agaba, for agreeing to clarify on this. And I have been following him closely. Would you clarify on what you call complying with a legal order from the police when the police has, one, kept quiet on receiving your letter, and two, when the police is not making reference to any law, what would constitute their order into a lawful order if it is not hinged on any piece of legislation?
Thank you very much, Honorable, the Honorable colleague. I think the clarity on the lawfulness and the legality of the orders of the police, Madam Right Honorable Speaker, may be better clarified by the Minister of Internal Affairs. But on my own, as a member of parliament, I think if the police, like I said, stopped me on the road, the traffic police stopped me on the road, I didn't know why they were stopping me. I actually didn't know it was me they were stopping. Inadvertently, I passed them. But while they stopped me in Masaka, I stopped because it is the police to know why they wanted to talk to me. And then they informed me what they wanted to talk to me with. I take that as lawful. But the point I was concluding with is, maybe it's necessary, the Minister of Internal Affairs, to look through the way our young men and women in uniform, because they must be respected, the way they're enforcing some of these orders or enforcing arrests, because sometimes they have applied excessive force that even when you are just watching it, you feel there's another motive in the enforcement of the order. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Ashraf Olega.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I feel very much concerned because Ugandans, we actually allowed democracy in this country. That's giving freedom to more parties. to exist in this country. In my view, I feel that if the law regarding assembly is short of some issues, let's revisit it. Because if these people get their laws from the same constitution of Uganda, there must be some respect to these leaders of the opposition. Particularly, I was concerned with the way police handled Kiza Besigye. That man is a political leader. The officers ought to have actually given him respect, being a senior citizen of Uganda. That's one thing, that's my concern. Two, if we feel that nothing is to be done, maybe there should be no assembly. Let's try to tell the Ugandans that nobody is allowed to operate now until we reach the time of elections. That will be clear to all the parties. But if others are allowed to operate, then we should respect their rights during that kind of, operation. The police is a Ugandan police. It's for all of us. They must act professionally. When they handle people, they must act professionally. That's my appeal, that's my prayer. If there's anything to do, these are Ugandans, they must also be respected like any other Ugandans. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Egunyu Kaberuka, but we are not going to have too many of these.
Thank you very much.
Matter here. Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, if you read the Public Order Management Act, actually even in the principle it says the underlying principle of managing public order is to regulate exercise of freedom. To regulate exercise of freedom, to assemble and to demonstrate together with others peacefully and unarmed, and to petition in accordance with Articles 29(1)(d) and 43 of the Constitution. Now, when you go down to Part 2, regulation of public meetings, Right Honorable Speaker, that time when we had debate were like meetings of registered political parties. Do they fall within this act? And I remember the Honorable Ruhindi was here. He said no, they will not fall under this act. Then we proceeded and we constructed the law under 4, meaning of public meeting. And we said clearly, actually in 4.2, we said a public meeting does not include a meeting convened and held exclusively for a lawful purpose of any public body. Then we proceeded to define public body. And we said in that 4.4, we said, for the purpose of subsection 2, a public body includes government or any department of government, a local government, a body established by the Constitution or an act of Parliament, a registered political party or political organization, or a registered trade union. Now, therefore, if you go by this, Right Honourable Speaker, would it not be proceeded right to actually write to the police and remind them that registered political party meetings, first of all, political parties registered fall under public body. And we said any meeting in 2 there, in 2A, 4.2A, we said a public meeting will not include any meeting convened for lawful purpose of any public body. And if public body includes also registered political parties. Right Honourable Speaker, why should the police interfere with the meetings which are actually lawfully, which are allowed by this law? And number 2, they don't have power to prohibit. They have power to regulate. Would it not be proceeded right actually to, I don't know whether the Minister for Internal Affairs is here, to write to the police and remind them that they are overstepping their boundaries. They're supposed to act within the confines.
I shall handle that, but just to add that those parties are not just registered, they're actually funded from the consolidated fund. Yes. Honorable Egunyu and then Kaberuka.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, just to add my voice on people who have said that the root cause of all these injustices happening to opposition is the coming into force, joining Uganda to multi-party system. When I look at such scenarios, I just want to speak reality here. I just don't want to be a hypocrite here. Right Honorable Speaker, just because we went into multi-party system, parties are pulling to their sides. First of all, NRM will want to remain in government as a ruling party. And at the same time, opposition is also fighting to join, to enter government to rule. So what happens in such a circumstance? You'll find that sometimes, even when opposition says something that is right, this side, NRM will not allow something that is right. And also NRM, if something right is said, still opposition will keep on opposing even when something is right. So we've not come to a common goal. We've not come to a common goal. And in most circumstances, people are opposition, people are NRM, not because they have it deep inside their hearts. Some people here are NRM, but night they are opposition inside their hearts. Yes, yes, this is, I said I'm just going to speak facts. And some people are opposition, but at night they are NRM. So this kind of hypocrisy, even when meetings are made, you'll find somebody again who is maybe trying to say that these people have applied for this and this. They want to make a party, they want to make their meeting here, or they are violating. Okay, thank you.
On the point of order.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, by the Constitution, you belong to a party willingly. You are not forced. Like the Bible says that when you pronounce that I'm following Jesus, we take you to be following Jesus. There is no yardstick anywhere that measures the heart to what extent you believe in Jesus. When I sit this side, 100% I'm NRM. When you sit the other side, you are opposition. My point of order, Right Honorable Speaker, is whether the Honorable colleague is in order to say that some people say they are NRM when deep in their heart they don't belong to NRM. Is the Honorable member in order really to imagine that there are others who are not? Is in order to judge somebody who willingly joined the party, but to judge somebody that possibly is not NRM?
Maybe she can substantiate. She can.
Yeah, Right Honorable Speaker, we have an English saying that goes that action speaks louder than words. It is not mere saying that I'm NRM. It is not mere saying that you're opposition, but your actions can tell where you belong. Right Honorable Speaker, why I told you that the multi-party system created a gap within us. Even if we say that police officers are taking sides, but just naturally, within a person, a civil servant of any kind, just naturally, even if they don't have to belong to any party, but those people still have where they belong, inside them. So at the end of the day, we've had scenarios where you find the DPC in a certain constituency taking sides with opposition and then punishing someone of NRM. So we've also had circumstances where a DPC somewhere is also taking sides with the NRM and punishing someone of opposition. Just because you can't rule out the fact that deep inside someone's heart belongs somewhere, even if he's a civil servant. Right Honorable Speaker, just on that very point, we need to do something else. Because really, as human beings, let us think through this. As a human being, you're employed by government of Uganda. And it is government of Uganda that pays you. Then you get an order. No, this is just an assumption. You get an order from above that such and such a thing must not happen. somebody because knows that the livelihood of his family is from government of Uganda will try to meander, even if he has to protect the constitution, and at the end of the day, people's rights will be violated. Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, as a chairperson of human rights of this Parliament of Uganda, I've come to learn that as you want your rights to be observed, make sure you also observe the rights of others. That is one. Two, as you want your rights to be observed, follow the Constitution of Uganda of the country. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Kaberuka, then to Muzigu.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, this matter affects us in all political parties because this is a House of Representatives and we need to speak for those people out there and for us, for ourselves, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was not here when you were enacting that law, and we respect it. But Madam Speaker, I think the government maybe fell short of what they wanted to be embedded in that law because they didn't put it there. As per the law, Madam Speaker, the government ought to follow that law and respect the other parties in opposition. They must, because they give them money. We appropriate money, and these people get, these opposition parties draw money from the consolidated funds. How can they utilize it when it is not, when you curtail them from operating? Madam Speaker, we need to restrain the Minister of Internal Affairs from suppressing the rights of the opposition because it is the government that allowed the opposition to exist. Madam Speaker, in 2012, I came to your office with a team of councillors from Kanungu when commissioners of this parliament had spoken about the late Nebanda. And Madam Speaker, we had come to rescue our colleague, Honorable Yomusi, that time. And on 28th of December, I organized the welcome to Yomusi in Kanungu district, having come from the, because it's you who we went together to Ginger Road when we stood shooting for him, and we went to the court with him to get out. By that time, he was speaking for the people. And Madam Speaker, when we organized the welcome for him, he was an NRM member, a commissioner of the parliament, but I remember my colleague who was standing behind me was shot in the leg. And a very good supporter of Honorable Yomusi. So it is not part of the, it is not only to opposition. The other day on 5th of last month, they came to my constituency to launch somebody to against me that I didn't touch the constitution. Madam Speaker, the police should be there to protect Uganda. Madam Speaker, they should know that the law does not segregate. And Madam Speaker, finally, why should we support these opposition parties? Why should we support IPOD when we are categorically restraining them from operating? How can we run in rallies when you are tying my legs and you want me to compete with you? Let's really be civil and be modern in applying this law. Otherwise, it's punching laws in our operation, especially the party, the mighty party I belong to, which has brought democracy in the country and in the world.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, patriotism has no borders. Patriotism has no borders. Sincerely, we know that we teach patriotism. We know that patriotism is taught in our schools. And if we are to become patriotic, we have to make sure that the opposition politicians, the ruling party politicians are well catered for. And the treatment is really befitting a politician. Seeing Dr. Chiza Besigye being treated like that, being bent by the water, again being bent again, bent again. Yes, bent by the water, the water from the bent, not being painted, because the water was pushing him and he was bending. And now, that bending, by the way, the force was too much that Dr. Besigye could not manage the force, and of course he had to bend. That means that someone can get a damage in the spinal cord, someone can even die. And in such circumstances, if someone dies, and he dies being one of the most popular opposition leaders, what happens to the integrity of this country? We are promoting tourism such that we can get more foreign exchange to make sure that we survive as a country. There is no way you can attract tourists when there is chaos in the country. That one came in addition to what was happening in Makerere. What do you think the Makerere students and other university students are learning from the circumstances in this country? Those students are learning from what is happening, and they are becoming hardcore fighters. We have to make sure that we practice empathy such that we can teach our young children to respect others. Madam Speaker, someone has said it, Honorable Kaberuka, it does not only happen to the opposition.
Yes.
Honorable Pentagon and then Yakecho, I have the Prime Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker and honourable members, I personally appreciate, and indeed all Ugandans appreciate, that we have multi-party dispensation in our books in Uganda, well embedded in the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. But its conceptual applicability on the ground practically is very contentious. And me, I'm worried of the example or the precedents that we are setting. I usually want to liken these situations to a flowing stream. Whatever you apply in the water upstream, whoever is down shall fetch the same. And if we are the generation now that we are preparing something, good ground for the generations to come, our children and grandchildren, is this the environment that we would want our children to live in? Because we are now teaching people that whoever you disagree with, if you feel stronger physically, you beat. Frustrate, you pull here and there. This is very dangerous. So we need to be an example. Actually, you cannot teach patriotism in school. It is a practical lesson. So you cannot teach people to like something that you hate. So if we love Uganda, we must make sure that we practice what can show that. Yesterday I was from my constituency and I sleep that side. So I was almost caught up in that scuffle. But I told my driver to make sure that he disappears. I don't know how he disappeared. I watched what was there. This is very dangerous. I'm a member of NRM, but I wouldn't want us to set a bad example. If we have bad elements in our forces that are trying to carry out such to discredit the government, then we need to be careful. We have young people, energetic, patriotic, who can serve in these positions. I want to tell Ugandans, we need to learn to tolerate, to listen, and probably we can have amicable, non-violent ways to solve our misunderstandings other than flexing the fist, because we are setting a wrong example Dare fight at home, and you'll see what your children will do tomorrow. Fight when they are seeing you. So that is why we are going to find a problem tomorrow, and the whole country will be plundered into anarchy, because we have trained the countryside people that you must fight whoever you feel has angered you, and as long as you feel strong. So I think Ugandans, we have to see which kind of a country and environment we do want our children tomorrow to live in. I thank you.
Nyakecho, then Prime Minister. After.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
After.
Madam Speaker, personally, I was in Tororo when this happened, and I didn't have opportunity for watching, but following from the debate, and also given what is happening in the country, I want to say this. First of all, you all know I'm NRM leaning independent. And I want to say that in actual sense, opposition legitimizes NRM stay in power. In the eyes, in the international community, NRM would not be the NRM it is today in terms of respect internationally if the international people were not seeing that there is some semblance of opposition in this country. I personally come from a marginalized society in Tororo, Madam Speaker. I know what it means to be marginalized. One time when I was practicing my own political activism in Tororo, I was earmarked for arrest. Actually, it is just because I'm a very sharp woman. But the police came. Yes, order. I'm telling you. Order. The police came. Actually, there were 5 or 6 trucks of police and army combined. Nyakecho was supposed to be arrested simply because she agitates for her people. They looked for me in my home in Kajarao village. I was not there. They looked for me in the hotel I normally stay in, up to the ceiling board and under the beds. I know what it means, Madam Speaker. The crime was standing up for my people. That's this issue, of Tororo. So I want to beg and request for the indulgence of this government. Let us learn to stay together. The fact that we moved away from the movement kind of system to the multi-party dispensation meant that we were ready and willing to tolerate each other. It also meant that then you would give room for dissenting voices to also stand and speak for what they believe in. It did not mean that you're going to practice intolerance to those who dissent from your views. And I want to really appreciate and commend His Excellency. I see him pulling the opposition to his side, but then the people under, these small people here who say order from above, they misbehave a lot. I want to request the Minister of Internal Affairs, please.
Can I invite the Prime Minister? Huh?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, it is true in 2012, I was traveling to the constituency via Fort Portal, and I received a call when I was in Mubende that you are going to be arrested. Yes. The bridge to Kanungu had collapsed, so we were passing through that route. And a few kilometers to Fort Portal, I found the road block, and the police stopped me. I was in a parliamentary vehicle, and I stopped. And they told me I was under arrest, and I complied. Of course, I had capacity to cause a scene if I had wanted. Yes. But as a law-abiding Ugandan, I understood that this was a lawful order from police, and I complied, and I was put under arrest, and the rest was processed through court, and I defeated the government through court. But it's not true that when I was being received in Kanungu, somebody was shot. At least
I am not aware of that. The point I just wanted to illustrate, yes, nobody was shot.
Order.
Unless the name of the person is produced, yes.
Order, Madam Speaker.
Okay.
Point of order.
Madam Speaker, I'm constrained to put my brother on order, but I must because this is the second time. There's one who I was presenting about the petition we had presented the Ministry of Energy, where he had presented the petition on our behalf to the Minister of Energy about the iron ore in the Kanungu. He again, the one who presented the petition on our behalf, said on the microphone here that he has never seen such a petition. This time, he has again denied that somebody was shot in Rujeyo when he was, and now, which culminated into the meeting with the president, because now, surely.
Who is the person who was shot?
Madam Speaker, the one who was shot was called Kadyejirira. Kadyejirira from Rujeyo. And Madam Speaker, a border was also a border fellow. His neighbor was also crippled. And Madam Speaker, he has denied everything. So everything was good. And Madam Speaker, is it in order? Maybe, is it a practice in this house that when you sit in the front bench, you cease to speak the truth? Is it in order for the minister, surely, to deny the realities? This is the second time. This is the second time. Is it in order, Madam Speaker?
Honorable, do you know about the man who was shot? Were you aware that someone was shot?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The so-called Karyejirira or Boda from Rujeyo sub-county is where I come from. I can categorically state without fear of contradiction that no such a person exists. Nobody was shot dead. No border was shot in that incident.